Wait, do you ever get disappointed when you're showing someone something for the first time and you really want them to get it? And
No,
they
not
don't?
at all. I think
Yes.
Oh.
Matt knew exactly where I was
Absolutely.
going with that question.
I'm clearly an Eeyore.
I'm probably Rue.
I'm a Christopher Robin with a Pooh Rising.
And then I get in a canoe and I'm like, Clairs don't like canoes.
No, they don't.
I'm afraid of this lake.
That's exactly what it was.
Ow.
It was a beautiful moment in our friendship. I was
literally in the middle of getting hers up and down the
Pathetic.
stairs. Ow. I was like, I'm trying to get my hair done. I'm like,
I don't think that's an accurate representation of my owl.
well, you were in such pain you couldn't see clearly. So,
Trauma.
Thank you for listening to the Last Will podcast. I'm Matt Young. I'm a theater educator and a parent. And ever since I lost my father to cancer, I have been mildly obsessed with death. This is my last will and testament. Yoda once said, "Fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering." Today, the gang gets together to discuss fear. I'm not sure what Yoda's quote really has to do with what we talk about, but it's Yoda, and who doesn't want to quote Yoda? Enjoy. Today's episode is brought to you by the Town Players of New Canaan's production of A Christmas Story. Performances are running from Friday, December 1st to Sunday, December 17th at the Powerhouse Theater and Waveney Park. A Christmas Story is a heartwarming holiday extravaganza that will transport you to a world of joy, laughter, and timeless memories. Step into the enchanted world of Ralphie Parker and his quest for the ultimate Christmas gift, a Red Ryder BB gun. Experience the magic of Gene Shepard's beloved tale like never before, as it comes to life in a spectacular live theatrical production directed by Nova Hall. This talented cast brings the beloved film to life right in front of your eyes and reminds you of the true spirit of the holiday season. Whether you're a fan of the classic film or discovering the story for the first time, this captivating live performance will ignite your holiday spirit and leave you with a smile on your face. Bring your family, friends, and loved ones to an evening of pure delight and holiday cheer. For more information and tickets, go to tpnc.org. That's tpnc.org. Book your tickets today. Hush came over the crowd.
I'm afraid to speak.
Well, Claire's got to get her microphone close to her face.
Don't be afraid.
There we go.
We've been off for a few weeks, so we're a little rusty. But you know what we did? We did our normal podcast before the podcast.
Yeah, we sure did.
We always speak for an hour. At first, as we were getting back into it, I was like, this is pretty tame for us. Usually we get fire.
Mm-hmm.
And then about 30 minutes into our little discussion, we got
Didn't
a little
take
fire.
long. Didn't take
A
long.
little, we're a little, the mood's different today.
It's also Indigenous Peoples Day.
That's true.
It is a holiday.
No, I thought that was a couple weeks ago. I thought today was Columbus Day.
No.
Oh, whoa.
Wow. You're
Wow.
going to get canceled.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
Shit.
It's not Columbus Day.
Wait. Indigenous Peoples Day was like a couple weeks ago.
It's today.
Indigenous Peoples Day has taken over for Columbus Day because people think
We
that
have to start over.
Columbus...
We have to
Columbus
start over the podcast.
Columbus didn't know his blocking, so Columbus has been.
Blocked.
He's building sets now.
So who?
It's
So what was a couple weeks ago?
Columbus was a piece of shit, and people know it now.
He did not discover
And
America.
He's not America Vespucci, who really discovered America.
Lots of sushi.
So yeah, we don't celebrate him because he was a monster who killed a lot of people. I know the Knights of Columbus won't be happy with us, but now, as we should be celebrating Indigenous
Should we
People Day.
call them?
Or
Should we get
First
them
Nation.
online?
Who? The
Knights of Columbus?
The Days of Columbus won't mind.
Have you ever been into one of the... I don't mean to discourage people, but like... Anyways, it all smells like cigarette smoke in those old...
I miss Sonic too.
I would like to know what the holiday was a couple weeks ago that the teachers had off.
It was called an in-service day.
That my friend went away for the weekend and had me take care of her cat.
Labor
for.
Day? Is it Labor Day? No, we had like a Monday or Tuesday off. Us
No,
teachers.
there was a bit of a fall break. Maybe
I don't know.
I don't know.
But
I
we're
removed
not-
all the holidays from my calendar.
We're not celebrating CC anymore. What we're doing is we celebrate the indigenous people. Because Columbus was a piece of shit.
Okay, well, I
Welcome.
apologize because last night I was with somebody who called it Columbus Day.
Ooh.
And now I'm
Name them. Let's cancel them.
no, and now that I'm on my calendar, I open my calendars and the Apple calendars where it you can check off
Yes.
to name the holidays. It's
Yom
calling,
Kippur.
It's calling today Columbus Day and Indigenous Peoples Day.
Apple, how dare you?
Yeah.
Well, Apple doesn't want to upset anybody. The cart.
But
They-
Yom
they
Kippur
want-
was this 25th, right?
Yeah.
Monday.
The 25th.
Yeah, of September.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, so that was what you're thinking about, Claire, maybe Yom Kippur.
But that was like in the middle of the week, I think.
It was maybe she just got it wrong.
Was it
Wait, or
Monday?
maybe I was supposed to feed the cat today and I forgot.
Uh-oh. Cats can survive. Welcome to the Last Will podcast.
Speaking of,
Yes. We're not celebrating anything today. What we're getting together.
we're celebrating a couple weeks off
That's true.
from our podcast.
That's
it's nice
true.
to be together today.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, we're always celebrating something. It's always nice to be with you guys.
If you had seen the studio before you had got here, it had been out of place for a long time. So to see it back in place makes me feel much better.
I'm glad I don't see it before
Oh, it
we
was-
get here
it
because
was-
it would really throw me off.
I'm getting my morning show on. I don't know why. I'm feeling very
Let me just say that
Bradley Jackson.
I need a little bit of space for my youngest to play on his VR.
Yeah.
So this space is maneuvered so that he can have some space. I should tape him playing VR because it's really funny to watch somebody with virtual reality.
But do they want to be taped?
No, absolutely not.
Well,
Because they look weird.
But do they use this space that we're in right now?
Yes, I moved the table.
Okay. Oh, you move it out of the way.
Yeah.
Got it.
what am I
Yeah.
doing in VR right now?
Painting two canvases.
No.
No, you're breading veal cutlets.
Yes. Oh my God. I was shaking breadcrumbs.
That's what I saw.
Oh.
You're making a mess.
I
You're
thought-
making a virtual mess.
Oh
I thought-
my God.
I was doing shake and bake like I was like doing the breadcrumbs. Oh my God.
Matt, you guys have really been spending a lot of time together.
Yes, but also when it comes to virtual
Yes.
food,
But also.
I get it. I see virtual food like nobody else sees virtual food. That's one of my talents.
Wow. That was really incredible.
Cheers.
Cheers to you.
Thank you. Today, we're talking about fear.
Happy Halloween.
Yeah, right?
Oh, I
Halloween
forgot to
Because
wear
we're
my
season.
moving up on
bats.
Halloween.
Yeah.
I will say though, we're working through all of our back episodes, so we're now closer to time than we
Mhm.
normally would be.
Mhm.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
We're catching up.
Yes, we're very much catching up. Very much catching up.
I'm a little nervous that we're catching up.
It's a little unsettling
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
I looked at the amount of things that we had already recorded in the bank, and I was getting nervous. I was like, we cannot miss another Sunday, and we almost missed another Sunday.
Yeah, but we
Yes.
want to be on par with like the holidays right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we want to be. I want to be sharing about.
Have you started watching fearful movies?
No, but I
I
have
have.
a date with some friends next week to do that.
To
Yeah,
sit and watch
yeah, yeah.
scary movies.
And I did buy a cute headband yesterday that has bats on it, and I wore it to the library. And I got some-
Nice.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get right to it, right?
Yes.
Let's get back in the saddle. Fear as a definition. Fear is an intense emotional response triggered by the perception of a real or imagined threat, danger, or harm. It is a basic human emotion that arises as a natural defense mechanism.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, don't take weeks off. It is a basic human emotion that arises as a natural defense mechanism to protect ourselves from potential risks or hazards. Fear can manifest in various forms such as anxiety, apprehension, dread, or panic, and it can be experienced both on a psychological and a physiological level. Fear can be influenced by personal experiences, cultural factors, learned behavior, or evolutionary instincts. Oh, interesting. While fear often serves as a protective mechanism, helping individuals avoid harm or dangerous situations, it can also become excessive or irrational, leading to phobias, anxiety disorders, or other psychological conditions that interfere with daily functioning. I think that was pretty,
spot on.
It's pretty good.
right?
Kind of intense. You read it like really intense.
Well,
It's almost
thank
like
you.
you were afraid of it.
I was afraid of reading. There is no doubt. Every time I have to read, I get a little bit afraid of reading, especially because I couldn't pronounce mechanism the first time around.
It's a hard one.
It's
got a CH in it. Mechanism.
Mechanism. Mechanicalism. So where do we want to start? We want to start off with,
Should we list our fears?
sure. Do you have them at the top?
Grady rolled his eyes. I don't
No,
think he likes that
it
idea.
just-
That wasn't an eye
Grady
roll?
has no
I'm
fears.
afraid of fear.
Yeah.
Look at what you did. You went all meta on it. Right out of the gate.
I'm afraid of fear.
As the central microphone, I guess. Maybe I should start. What are my greatest fears? I think I've spent most of my life with the fear of rejection, like thinking that rejection would lead to death. It has taken a long time to deal with that idea. But I think I'm at the point in my life where I know that it's not. I am afraid of pain, and yet I seem to deal with a lot of pain lately.
I'm not laughing.
Physical pain?
Physical pain, yeah. And heights. I'm afraid of heights.
Oh, you are?
I don't love them, but I like.
So if we were in a high rise, you don't want to be in a looking down at the city.
I can. I don't want to be on the roof. I don't want to be too close to the edge of a
Got
roof.
you. If you're in the middle of a roof having,
It's not a crippling anxiety. It's certainly not a phobia by any means.
It's a fear, though.
Well, if you're on top of the Empire State Building and there's a lot of protection there, you could still jump, but it would require some effort.
Way too much effort.
Way too much
Yeah.
effort. But if you are I experienced climbing up the side of a building for fun, in Brooklyn a few years ago, climbing out of a friend's window to go up a ladder to go up to the roof, there was no protection. That scared me.
Yeah.
But being on the top of the Empire State Building didn't scare me.
But you did it though. You went outside and
Yeah.
embraced that fear.
I didn't know I was scared of it until I was doing it. Until I realized if this thing collapses, I'm done for. If I slip, I'm done for. There was no regulations.
So instinctually, you just probably focused more.
Reminds me of the Muppets climbing up the Mallory Gallery when they just have to get up when the dogs come to get them.
Oh.
And they make the human ladder. And they're
Oh,
all
yeah,
freaked
yeah.
out.
Yeah.
They just have to just go.
Yeah.
They're all super afraid.
It's funny that you list that as one of your fears because I am
I
afraid of heights,
I
but
think I was trying to be cutesy. At the end, I was like,
I don't think about it a lot. I don't think it's not something that I list on my fears, but it's if I'm in that situation, I will be like, oh my God, this is scary.
right.
But I'm not afraid of Ferris wheels.
No, I'm not afraid of Ferris wheels. I'm not afraid of spiders, but I don't love spiders.
Mm-hmm.
I will try to bring my spiders outside. I
Me
understand
too.
that they help.
You
It's
don't
bad
have
luck to kill 'em.
arachnophobia.
I don't. But I don't like reptiles or insects that much. But I think if we're talking about my fears, I think I've led a relatively fearful life. There are plenty of things that I have stopped myself from doing growing up based upon being afraid of it.
What's something that would be different growing up if you didn't have that fear?
I think conflict. I definitely a fear of conflict, and so I would avoid, asking for what I want. A couple weeks ago we talked about people pleasing. I think I would go into people pleasing in order to avoid conflict. Is it fear? Yeah, I think it's. I think
yeah.
it's fear of
Fear
Of conflict.
Yeah,
Fear
that's
of-
and
the
like
base.
I said, rejection would stop me from doing so many things. When I think about college and high school and you know, it always goes back to fucking crushes and all that bullshit. But like when I think about investing in any one of those things, I think I would have avoided more so I wouldn't have the answer. But like how many situations have I cut myself off from not expressing
That's what I was
myself?
asking.
You know?
What do you think the
Or
ratio is?
facing the fear, which, you know, when we talk about psychological fear and emotional fear, you know, I've been told, and, you know, when I try to work these things out, people are like, fear, you know, your fear is actually not real.
Yeah.
And it's so hard for me to understand that when I'm in it, because I'm like, but it really does feel super real. So there's so many things we have to do.
Like, let's go back a little bit.
Sure.
And I don't mean to cut your thought off, but we say it's not real, like we're kind of manufacturing it mentally. But when we manufacture something mentally, isn't there, and for me, I know it happens, there's often a kinesthetic or physical response to it. So I'm dealing with something that feels real because it's in my body. I'm feeling a heaviness or a tension or a tightness or whatever. Isn't that real?
Mm-hmm.
It is, but I think psychologically, and we've discussed this before, we can, our bodies.
They can't distinguish the difference.
It
Your body's
doesn't.
going to go through the motions
doesn't. So
physically in real time.
Yeah, you can actually feel, your body will have a physical reaction to something that your brain is doing.
Mm-hmm. Nausea, throwing up, headaches,
Yep.
tremors.
But your fear
No
might not
appetite.
actually be, oh, there's a tiger. You know, like,
Oh, yeah.
you know, like you don't actually have the tiger running at you. It's you are maybe paralyzed with the fear of something. This has happened to me. I'm speaking from experience. Like something will feel very, very real, and it's completely not real. It's the idea of something, but it's completely manifested in my body.
Right.
And
So that does, I mean, then you have to deal with it as if it's real.
yes,
And-
sometimes I have to like let it pass, and sometimes
Okay.
it takes a couple of days to go away
Or more.
or longer.
And it's when it passes or when you experience it that way, is it because you have reconciled the mental aspect of it first and then eventually it will dissipate from your body?
Sometimes the mental aspect, I mean, even if I do understand that it's not really there, what it is, and I think this is, I'm not sure what this is. You know, I don't know if this is like a disorder or a condition. But I can tell myself over and over again that the problem is not what my body thinks it is. But it still will take its time to get out of my body, and it won't take, sometimes it takes, it goes away very quickly, but then sometimes it sits there for maybe a week and it takes that much time to get out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes it could have to do with, you know, maybe my, maybe let's say I made a wrong decision on something. Let's say this has happened in like dating situations where I think I've committed to somebody, and then all of a sudden
You've had the moment of like, oh, fuck.
yeah.
Not this again.
Yeah, no, it's
Again.
yeah, it's happened before. I've kind of like mentally, I mean, it's happened where I've like fallen for somebody like within hours, and then in a day or so later, it's like the bubble popped. You know, like they did something wrong, and then I
Found
feel
out they were conservative.
something like that, or they spoke to me the wrong way.
Right.
You know, and I'm like, wait, this isn't okay.
They're like, I think The Lord of the Rings is the most overrated movie ever. Like, what the fuck did you just say to me?
Claire?
Yeah, it's a
Claire?
problem. Yeah.
I think she
Where'd
left.
you go? She's gone. But then I'll actually have to. So then all of a sudden I'll feel like I'm trapped.
Yeah.
And then I will feel, I
That
will be
creates
I'm
more fear.
extremely afraid in my body. Like I get all these like cortisol, like feelings, like my vagus nerve is vibrating, and like I'm hot and cold. And until I can actually take action, it's not until I take action do I feel better.
Do you a couple things? Vagus nerve? Never heard of that.
Yeah, you've heard of that, Grady, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
It's the what is it?
it has nothing to do with Las Vegas, though.
No.
Okay, good.
No, it
That's-
doesn't.
that's all I
creates
needed.
fear
That's all I
too,
needed.
though.
That sounds fun,
because
though.
it does. And are you able to move to action quicker because the bubble has burst, or do you tread water and they're like, we should go to the movies, and instead of you going, yeah, no, I think we're okay, you're like, yeah, I'll go. And
No,
then you
I
go,
have
like,
to.
3 or
I
4
need
dates
to.
after?
I've learned to take my time, and yeah. So if they do ask me to the movies, I'll maybe. I have a couple of people in my life that I have as my sounding board, so I'll call them and I'll say, "Hey, what do you think's going on here?"
Right.
And they'll say, here's what I think, and what will happen is that I might have to turn down that movie date because I'm
Right.
like uncomfortable. But I actually cannot go forward without solving this problem.
Okay.
Meaning, if I'm so physically uncomfortable, I can't actually do anything
It's paralyzing.
in life.
I can go to work because that I know I
yeah.
know how to do my job, but there have been days that I've been stuck in bed and I
Wow.
haven't been able to get up, or I've haven't been able to eat. I'll throw up a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And
Stop falling in love with people within hours, I guess, huh?
I mean that one was over particularly fast, but there have been other things that and this I can't explain,
Yeah,
and there are things that I have gotten into that I'm like, I don't understand why I'm experiencing this when I didn't really do anything.
Right.
Then that's an odd one. But that fear, I've tried to pull this apart with therapists. I'm trying to figure that. I don't know what that fear is. I don't know where it came from. But it happened. And sometimes, if I go into maybe like some spiritual therapy situation, I talk about it with someone else. They're like, it could be a past life trauma that's popping up in your life now. I mean, that's another
episode.
But
yeah, for sure.
because if I
We
can't
could dive deep into that.
if
but
I
don't
can't
think we should. I don't
explain-
think we should. Let's stay with fear for now.
if we're talking and it's like, Claire, what are you actually afraid of? I'm like, I'm just afraid of everything. Everything feels like I'm about to die right now.
Right.
But that doesn't make any sense because no, I don't have people with their bows and arrows all at me at the moment.
Right. And you're not being chased by a bear or a lion or a gator of anything like that.
So weird that you bring that up.
Gators?
I totally had a dream about alligators last night.
Really?
I did.
I had a dream, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to usurp your thing.
Syrup.
But like my best friend growing up died. And
In
we're
your
at-
dream or in real
Yeah.
life?
No, in my dream, and I didn't fucking call him yesterday. Like all day, I was thinking, I got to call him. I got to call him, and then all of a sudden, like it was a dream that I remember. The different, too much of it. I remember. It's not just a little bit here and a little bit there. I remember talking to certain people. I remember the service. I remember not getting to give a eulogy. The whole thing has really played out.
Are you going to tell them that you had a dream that they died?
I have to.
Oh.
No?
I don't know. How would that make you feel? I always got.
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if people had dreams that I died. It wouldn't shock me. And go, yeah.
I don't know if
I'm
I'd
still
want
here.
to tell somebody I had a
still
dream
here.
that they died. How do you think they would take it? Do you think they'd think about it a lot? Would they manifest? Would not manifest
Perhaps, but no. Jesus.
would they think about it? Would they overthink it? Would they not want to be your friend anymore?
Well, look.
Sorry, I'm not helping.
No, you're not helping. I don't talk to this person as much as I should, in general. So it's like our friendship is there because of history, and I know if we saw each other, we'd be great. But like, it's not like an everyday part of my life anymore. So it's shitty and sad. I mean, maybe the whole dream was about the fact that you don't get to eulogize this close friend of yours because you haven't been a huge part of their life for the last 20 years. Maybe that's what it is. But
This is why I love dreams. They
I don't see it that way. I think you miss him.
Yeah.
perhaps I'm looking for that kind of connection that I only got with a certain people in my life. Anyways, gators. You said gators.
Oh, whoa. No, it's okay. Shields up.
It's different. It's very different.
It is. Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, now I got to sit in that thought for a while. Anyways.
How do you clean an emerald?
That's an important question to figure out.
Don't move it from hot to cold very
Why?
fast.
Because it will
break.
crack. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a very sensitive stone.
Speaking of crack, another thing to be afraid of. Whether it's the drug or
kids
the
don't do
butts.
drugs.
Yeah, don't do them.
Whatever.
So, I think I understand a lot of that fear because like I said before, rejection for me would equal death. And, you know, as I've gotten older and actually participated in much more rejection, it's not death. It's so far from death. And it's almost so much easier to move on from because of the clarity. But I never gave myself that. And because of it, I think I lived a very, very fearful existence.
Mm-hmm. It's very, yes, I believe, and I'm just going to say this, I don't necessarily feel this way in terms of my religious beliefs, but I have heard the phrase rejection is God's protection. It's so cheesy, but it rhymes.
Well, it does have value in rhyme.
But, you know, I mean, I'm not here to promote the God thing, but
or drugs.
Or drugs, of course. But if you
Very clear about those things.
do believe in a higher power, or you do believe that something is out there that's taking care of you, then you can look at that as rejection it's always a lesson. And it's always something that we learn from. Because it's the same as like we have to fail to succeed.
Yeah, those are the gifts.
Yeah.
Those are the gifts in life.
We don't learn anything until we mess up.
My problem was I wasn't giving myself the opportunity to learn those lessons because I was taking myself out of the game in general by not putting myself in those situations and then playing a very, very, not dangerous, but very, very time-consuming, time-wasting inner reality is probably the wrong word, but inner like fantasy life of what ifs
and to your detriment.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because maybe one of these connections would have worked out, or maybe one of these what I would have learned about myself based upon putting myself out there. I mean, I think it was a huge part of like why I never really became a professional actor as well, because I never could put myself through that rejection for very long. I would always tell myself A, B, and C were the reasons why you shouldn't go on this audition, or you shouldn't structure yourself, make it like your business to visit so many auditions a day and go out there and, I'm afraid I'm going to be all sweaty by traveling through the subway systems in New York, so you can't go do an audition and be sweaty, and so you just take yourself totally off the board. So I never gave myself a chance to be a professional because of that fear. So, yeah.
Interesting.
Fear fucking sucks.
Well,
Yes, it does.
Grady, go ahead.
About what?
I don't know, something.
You've got your book there. Why don't you help us out?
You've got your Zen water.
Yeah. Help us out.
It's not our sponsor.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Fear.
Take that back.
I'm afraid of hurting people. I'm afraid of anything that I would do to hurt somebody's heart or make them sad is utterly debilitating for me. I don't believe you can make anybody feel anything, but your actions can certainly put someone in a place that they might not want to be, especially if you don't mean to hurt anyone. I've always had great fear around that. Disappointing people.
Do you think
disappointing people is a huge fear that I have, and I would much rather throw myself under the bus than disappoint someone else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, both are doing harm.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, both are. Yeah. Yeah.
What are your other fears, Grady?
Yes, Grady. What are your other fears?
Well,
Spiders.
I'm not afraid of spiders, no. I
Um,
think spiders are good luck when you see them. You should put them outside. Don't kill them. You come back as one of those.
I know one of your fears.
Yeah.
Going to the Goodwill and putting on other people's shoes.
Oh, God. I mean, that's just gross.
Ew.
Not gross. I mean,
Claire, have you never bought shoes from Goodwill?
I don't think I have.
why do we keep going here to the Goodwill?
I actually don't disagree with. I like wearing other people's shoes. I like wearing worn-in shoes. I have
Metaphorically and realistically, right?
mostly just realistically. Like
Oh.
in theater, I have
empathy. I don't have empathy.
I'm afraid of.
it's too much.
Yeah.
It's too much. No, but if you're in theater and you get to wear someone's worn shoes, like sometimes they're more comfortable. I have bought used shoes online before. Amazing. Still wore them, spray painted them silver, yes.
Yeah.
We don't have to go here, but sorry, Grady.
We are. No, it's
Grady-
fine. No, but
Grady's-
you bring up a good point. When I was a kid, I was not allowed to get dirty. I wasn't allowed to roll around in the dirt. I was dressed impeccably. It was not okay to not be dressed.
Who
When
was,
my
who
little-
was setting the
when-
standard for you? Your parents?
Mm-hmm.
This,
My mother,
This is what you're like today.
who's wonderful.
You're a very
but-
clean, well-dressed person.
I mean, and
Even in
Well,
your
we
pajamas.
just talked
and
about
even in her,
this.
my mother's struggles with her, what she goes through, she still can put together such a beautiful, beautiful outfit and just look perfect. When my little brother came along, 6 years later,
They rolled them in dirt.
I mean, he would go to school. I mean, I remember one time just being horrified that he was in overalls, galoshes, and some kind of like thermal, like Spider-Man or something shirt. And I just was like, this cannot happen.
He was ready for the day. though.
And
How did they do it one way with you and not him?
because we're 6 years apart. And I feel like if you have 5 or more years apart, you basically are an only child. You're having a different experience with those parents. Generally, this isn't, I mean, but I really do.
the second look, for
And
me,
you can speak
the
to this.
first one, you are washing all of their clothes before they put it on.
Yes.
You have a ton of pictures. It's the first time out. You are creating memories left and right. And the second one, you just
Well, the second one, I mean,
dipping them in the toilet.
well, no, I mean, I feel like
we never watched a single thing that the younger one
They just
wore.
get the hand-me-downs.
your
Get the
second one was working at a
hand-me-downs.
cannery at 3.
Well,
You told him it was
well,
kindergarten, but I
just
mean,
had to get a job.
I realized he'd work in the
Yeah,
factory.
he
Kid
needed
had to get a
he needed
job.
pay his way.
Look at him
Still
now,
upset
though.
with
You know,
He's not
Well,
making
now
enough
you move.
money.
Now you move the table out of the way for his VR.
Yeah, no, he can VR in a corner over there.
No, but you make room for him.
I'm VRing right now.
Well, he demands room.
Oh.
He demands
Okay,
room.
so
He's
he-
definitely, he is definitely one that demands a little bit more care.
Probably because
sure.
you didn't give it to him.
Yes. Well, here's the story about him was he was a emergency C-section. He was a preemie, came out early. He had what they call a double true knot in his umbilical cord, which is a true knot is something that causes most stillborn deaths.
Ugh.
He was in a breech position about a month before he was supposed to be born. They gave him a version technique, which is where they manually
They move
turn the baby,
Yeah.
into the right position. They said to us, it's like 1 in a million that we lose the heartbeat and have to have an emergency C-section. Well, they lost the heartbeat and had to do emergency C-section. He is a miracle baby.
Oh.
There is no doubt that he's a miracle baby. And so I think a lot of that has to do with it. But he had gotten a lot of care. He was in the ICU for like 18 days. Yeah, he got a lot of care out of the gate. But when it comes to like the normal things that you would do for a kid,
But you,
yeah, we
you
didn't go through
you
any of
still
that
gave him
stuff.
the hand-me-downs.
All of the still gets the hand-me-downs. Still get like they were kind of off seasons. So when we don't have pants that the older one passed down to the younger one, you get like annoyed. You're like, "Why? I don't understand this. Why don't we have shorts for this season? It doesn't make any sense."
Yeah, yeah.
And then you have to actually buy them clothes.
Well, let's go back a bit. Let's
Yeah,
talk
let's-
about
yes, yes,
let's
yes,
talk
yes,
about
yes,
your
yes.
fear around that experience, because that's like fear.
But do you even have time to be fearful in that moment, or just go, hope, 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 hope? And for me, in those moments, I do not go to fear. I'm very good in a crisis situation. So I go all hands on deck. What does everybody need? Not including me. I'm not including me in that.
I have to agree.
What does everyone need?
This is why both of you are on my apocalypse team.
Nice.
I could give a shit about myself. I want to know what everybody else needs.
I'm not as afraid when the tiger is there, but I am afraid if the...
Well, you know that you can run faster than me, so that's probably why I made your list.
No, I need you.
Oh,
I need you there. I need you. I feel safe with you.
Nice.
And Grady too. Grady knows exactly what to do when the crisis comes. But wait, we're back to Matt. We got to go back to Matt.
Let's go back to the crisis, Matt.
So they do the technique, and they lose the heartbeat, and there is urgency that comes over the room,
right?
But no panic,
right?
Because they have done this before. So you're feeling the urgency, and you're like, I still feel safe. And it was almost like a ballet. They were moving my ex around in different ways and trying to get the heartbeat with the ultrasound. And then finally one person goes out of the room real quick, comes back in. They have set up the emergency surgery, and they basically wheel her out as if it is an episode of ER. And in the flapping of the doors as they've gone through, and I'm the only one left in the room, a tumbleweed of medical packaging almost rolls across the thing. And I just catch my breath for a second and go, that was really like beautiful and intense. Like the urgency was there, but no one panicked. And then I'm like, okay, I have to call home. I have to call her mother. I have to call my mother. And then I have to think about work, because I was working at a high school, and we had a production of Taming of the Shrew that was opening that night. So I had to make sure that, because I couldn't be there, I had to make sure that we had everything that we needed for that. But I did the right thing. I called her mother. I took on their comm. I took on the doctors and the nurses' comm.
Yes, they're doing their job.
And so when I called my mother-in-law, I feel like I had that comm from there. Within a few minutes, I made all those calls. My youngest was born, and I got to hold him because I wanted him to like attach to someone. Then they brought him, like I saw my ex real quick as they wheeled her across, and then I was with my youngest as they were kind of giving him a bit of CPR to get his breathing right. And that's the first time I really felt panic. Like everything was fine up until then. He was coming early, and then it was when they were trying to help him breathe, and then they had to intubate him. That's when the panic happened.
Because you were helpless.
Yes, and I just had to sit there and watch it. And then he got into the ICU, and he was in a little blue incubator, and you're with all the other babies in the ICU, and then I started to feel a little bit of relief because I know that I was in the ICU. I think I went through something very similar when I was born. But yeah, the biggest moment of panic was when they brought him into this little side room to try to enhance his breathing and stuff like that. That's the only time that I felt real panic. And probably because he wasn't getting, oxygen and stuff like that. And the true knot is a knot in the umbilical cord, so it means the baby did a little loop-de-loop, and he had 2 in it, and that's, pretty rare. And if he had gone to term, if we hadn't done this, he would not have made it. Would not have made it. So there was also that parallel of it was a miracle.
It is a miracle, absolutely.
You would think. Not like this is something we need to talk about, but you would think that they'd have a way to figure that out earlier.
Yeah, I don't know if they can see the umbilical cord in the sonogram. Like I don't know if the look. I have a theater degree, so who knows really. But I don't think you can.
So on that subject of you taking on their comm, so I have one of my really close friends right now is going through. Her father is is dying.
Yeah.
And when she and I talk about it, and she shares with me the things that are scary, in terms of what he's like as he's dying. There are times that I put myself in her position and I think about how I would be if this were happening to my father. And I just there's like a pit in my stomach and then like a heaviness in my heart that I feel when I think about that. And then I look at her and I'm like, how are you okay right now? And she's like, I have no idea.
She doesn't have a choice.
She's like, I'm somehow really calm.
Yeah.
And I think because there's a lot of, he's dying, but they are trying to keep him comfortable and somehow alive.
Yeah.
And so it's not like there was a sudden death. So there's been some time for them to be preparing for like, oh, this will happen sooner than we thought it was going to happen. But she and I met yesterday and we talked about it, and I didn't want to get too into it because it was going to be a really heavy subject if we did, but she was like, I'm somehow going through these motions and I'm more okay than I thought I would be. For me, that's one of my biggest fears, is losing my loved ones.
Yeah. No, I think having been there a couple times, you don't have a choice. You have to function. And I think, like most of the things that we kind of discuss, if we get too wrapped up in ourselves and don't put our focus on others,
Other people,
we can
yeah.
spiral deeply. And
Yeah.
so for me, taking care of my father was the focus. So when he went into the hospital for the last time, they were flying to Florida, and I was home parallel watching the dog when the dog had his first seizure because he was a diabetic. So I was having my own little trauma. They turned the plane around on the tarmac and had to rush my father to the hospital. And so that's when he went into Sloan Kettering for the last time. He eventually got himself home and passed away at home, but like that was, we thought he was going to die in the hospital because he was just in so much pain and had to have another stomach surgery. And but I do remember being in the hall with my mom and my sister going, this is surreal. Like the image of the family waiting outside while the nurses are prepping your loved one felt like something I had seen on TV.
Mm-hmm.
And it was hard to wrap your head around the idea that, oh, this is happening to you. And so it felt a little arm's distance away. And then there's the focus that you put on the parent. Like my job was, and I think I've talked about it here, was to support him after he had been, when they had to treat his bed sores, when he had been down for a while. And so it's a very traumatic memory for me, but at the time I just knew what my job was.
Yeah.
I knew how to support him, and that I think to close into on your point, Claire, I think the anticipation of it happening to you is a harder thing than actually dealing with it. Because when you're dealing with it, you are focused on your loved one who it feels like you need that support. You need to give them that support. And then if you're unlucky and they do pass away, then, the shit can hit the fan and you could fall apart.
Right.
And all of that stuff. But I think I would probably say my sister would have agreed, and I think my mom would have agreed that we had purpose when he was sick. We had a place and we had a job, and that's how you survive. And you every once in a while take those quiet moments where you're overwhelmed with emotion. Hopefully you have people in your life that you can share it with. I didn't at the time. So I just kind of swallowed it and pushed it down and dealt with it afterwards for 20 years I don't want to say self-abuse because it wasn't like that, but like
Longing.
it hurt,
Mm.
and ignorance, hurt and ignorance for sure. But yeah, you almost don't have a choice at the time, and so you can. I mean, that's my point.
I find those things that are the aftermath is much worse than actually being in it and having that purpose and being able to help and being able to have that job
Yeah.
and not having the time to think about anything else other than the care of whomever that is. But then once that's over with and you're left with just you,
Because my fear is
that's
my fear is that I let him down. My fear is that I wasn't. I didn't
is
live
that
a
a
good
past
enough
fear
life.
or that's still
Better.
Better.
than I
Okay,
have
well,
been
better's-
about it. Well, no, I think I've said it here too. Is I've recently, within the last year or whatever, dealt with the fact that the father, the voice of my father in my head, doesn't resemble the true human that he was. My therapist was like, he sounds like he was pretty mean and hard on you the way that you talk about it. And she's like, does that resemble who he really was? And I'm like, no, it actually doesn't. But it's 22 years in of me telling myself that I've let him down and that he would be embarrassed and I wasn't good enough for the life that he set up and all of that. But that's where the fear came. It was afterwards. Maybe I had fear during it about not letting him know how much he meant to me. And like you said, Claire, it was lucky enough he was sick and I got to tell him, sad because I feel like at 26 years old, we were starting to become friends. We were moving into that category of our life and that got taken away. But I think the fear of letting him down, of being a disappointment, all happened after he was gone.
Interesting.
And was a torture I was doing to myself, maybe as penance for living when he died. I don't know.
That's interesting. It's almost like he wasn't there he wasn't there for you to be around him, for you to maybe be validated.
Yep.
And so then you're just left with your own thoughts, which are, it's not a great place sometimes, that neighborhood in our heads.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's all horseshit. Like you said, that, we create that fear. I created that fear. There was no evidence that said he would have been disappointed in me.
But
even if I never amounted to anything, there was no evidence of it.
But I think there are times that we have to respect our fear and not judge it, because if we're going to judge it, then we're just going to bring more negativity to our own, that dialogue that we've got running in our heads. Whereas if we take a fear and we're like, okay, let's honor this and let's look at it and let's talk to our inner child. Let's talk to our younger selves and let's pull it apart and say, so, I mean, there have been times that I really had to talk to myself, sit with myself and hug. It's like give my heart a hug to be like, I'm okay. Like there's nothing to fear. There's nothing here. I actually cannot be told that, Claire, there's nothing to fear. Cause I'm like, yes, there is.
You don't know me.
You don't know what's going on.
You don't know
in
the
my head.
chaos inside me. What do I call
Like-
the storm?
the internalized storm, the internal storm.
Yeah, the eternal
Yeah.
storm.
The internal
And
storm.
so I have to do the work myself, and I have to tell myself that you're gonna be okay, whatever this is. And that's just internal fear. That's the fear that the electricity in my brain is doing, my mind is doing to torment me. My past life, the spirit of my past lives are coming back because the trauma wasn't resolved.
Different episode.
Different
Yeah.
episode. But when it comes to rock climbing or there's
Putting yourself in physical
Zip
peril.
lining.
zip lining.
Yeah, I do it upside down. I have Costa
Zip lining
Rica,
is fun,
got
yeah.
no
Why
fear.
would you do it upside down?
Because everybody else was so trepidatious on this trip, and the zip line is one of the longest zip lines in the world in Nosara, Costa
Again,
Rica.
But all the
I'm not
blood
answering
would rush
the
to your
question.
head.
Well,
Why
I am. I'm
upside
getting there,
down?
and the dude was like, hey, like, because he could see I was having a ball. He was like, do you want to go upside down? I was like, yes, I absolutely do. Flip me upside down, and I mean, was just looking down at.
So you were just hanging by your feet?
Did all the blood rush
this
to
is
your
hot.
head?
I have no idea. I don't remember. I don't. My mind goes into a whole different
Fever dream. I don't think they do
Yeah,
that.
I don't think when I'm doing.
Are you an adrenaline junkie?
No,
So you're not into skydiving or bungee jumping?
I've done bungeeing.
You have.
Mm-hmm.
That one
I
scares
would.
me.
I would skydive.
I would skydive, but I wouldn't
I
bungee.
really want to go down.
I would skydive too, but I wouldn't bungee. If I weighed less and I thought that, because I think there's like a weight requirement, even though I don't like heights, I think I'd skydive.
I mean, bungee.
I'd skydive for sure. I want to swim with the shark. I want to go down with the great white, but I can't because I don't dive well with the pressure I have. But I would be fully content to do that.
Well, they have a way.
I
They
don't.
could just put you in a box.
I want to go to Australia and go do it. That can't happen.
Nope.
I don't know if.
Nope.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I'm more afraid
Nope.
that I'm more
Nope.
afraid
Nope.
that I would.
Nope.
I'm
Nope.
more afraid that I would
Speaking of fears,
bust
Yeah.
my eardrum.
Yeah, I'm not.
I have fears that there's a shark in the pool. So
Yeah. Hang on,
Sharks
Grady.
are so much
Are you
more
allowed to go swimming with a great white, or do you have to be in the cage?
Well, I mean, I guess you can drive without a seatbelt if you want. I mean, I'd
I'm
have
just
fun with that.
I'm just wondering because you're talking.
Do you need to pay for your meal, or can you just get up from the
'cause
restaurant
some
and
people,
leave?
Some people free dive with sharks, but they have like that
I
special.
don't have
Do
that.
they?
Yeah.
Yeah, but they push the nose away and they're.
Well, I'm not-
Like,
But the cage is the cage submerging at such a level that you do have to worry about your ears.
I would be too worried about it. Yeah, and it does has to submerge at a level that you.
I think you need to gauge how much you want to do this because if you
I
really
totally wanna
really
do
wanted
it.
to do it, then you wouldn't worry about your ears.
Yeah, well, I don't want to have I don't want to have busted eardrums.
I think there hasn't been a shark movie where the shark hasn't devastated the shark cage and tank and eaten the person inside it.
Well,
that is not as a
like, well,
rarity.
that's just in movies though. It
These
doesn't-
sharks are
we
much
haven't
more
heard of that.
sharks are much
Movies are
more
real.
afraid of us than
Yeah.
we are afraid of them.
It doesn't
That
happen in real
feels
life.
like the biggest cliche ever.
But Matt,
It's
if it
true.
happened
Lizard
in
brain.
real life, we would have heard about it.
Don't we hear about it all the time?
But sharks
Not in
don't demolish
cages.
shark cages.
No, they don't.
I think it's dangerous. I think I'm with Claire though. I don't think that all these cages go that deep.
They go deep enough that you've got to
Equalize?
I mean, even me going down. I mean, I used to love. I grew up sailing, so I used to love to swim so much. But even going down to like a 12-foot pool, it's really painful. Really painful for me. I used to love to go get all the rings down at the bottom and dive.
But you don't you don't equalize?
Clearly, I'm not equalized anymore. I don't know what happened, but it just one day I just couldn't do it.
I think
Oh.
your body knows that you're going to get eaten by a shark, so it doesn't want you to go deep down.
Okay, maybe it's
I think
your
so.
I'm not gonna
body's
get eaten by a
no,
shark.
It's
And
your,
Evolutionary. It's
Yeah, yeah,
evolutionary
yeah.
fear.
And
You've
if a shark
evolved.
did attack me, it would take a chunk out of my thigh or an appendage. It wouldn't eat me. Sharks don't.
no,
eat
you would
people.
die though. You would die
Not
from a shark attack.
necessarily.
You might.
No.
You look exactly
could-
like a seal to me.
It could.
You'd be eaten
It
so
could-
quickly.
It could.
Not breaded. You would not
it
be a
could
breaded seal.
Get your head, and then you're done for.
Sharks don't go for your head. They go for fatty like thighs and things.
But they don't have
they
good
like
vision.
they like a 2-piece.
Have you
they
seen
like-
their menu?
Yes, they like a 2-piece and 2 sides. So it's a thigh, a drumstick.
And two sides.
So they
and
only go
2
for
sides.
women? Did you say 2-piece?
Yes.
It's not the end of the episode yet.
No,
you
I
don't
know
have
that,
to go
but
there.
I mean, yes, they go for a
Because that was a
2-piece.
wah-wah. That wasn't a burn.
They go for a 2-piece.
Oh no, but actually, when women are menstruating, there is a fear about.
This is another episode.
No, but
No,
you're
this is the same episode. Yeah, no,
you're
that's
supposed to not go in the water
Why?
because the sharks will smell your blood.
But can't you put like a cotton thing up there?
It doesn't matter. They still know.
Salt water will eat through
I
it.
don't really understand that. I mean,
Could you put like a what would
Sharks
be like
know.
a suction, like a cup that would go over it that would suction to
I
you,
mean,
so it
it's
just
still-
collects the
it's still-
sediment?
it's
Is it
ve-
sediment?
it's
What
not-
comes out of there? I don't know.
yeah, no, it's not a.
Is it a hemorrhoid?
It's
Do
not
hemorrhoids
a.
smell?
They don't cement it shut when you put a tampon in. It's not cemented
But
shut.
I'm saying,
so it's
is there like a plastic thing that could go and that it's just cupped onto you, and once you're full,
staying-
you got to
I'm
come
staying
up.
out of
Well,
this.
they do make cups, but it's not a suction cup.
Are we talking about like the sheeness? The
Uh,
thing that you use on the side of the road that it looks like a funnel so that you can
no, that's a shiwi.
a shiwi.
Yeah, that's for peeing. Different hole. Oh my god.
Again, I'm staying out of it. I'm staying out of it. I do believe. I don't know.
Immature.
I think Claire suggested a tampon made out of cement. I think we heard that.
No, I'm saying they
She
don't
said-
cement
Oh, they
it
don't
shut when
cement
you
it.
go swimming.
That would be awkward. That would be awkward after you swam, is what I'm assuming.
Yeah, also
Because you would
impossible.
need one of those machines that they use to take up the sidewalks.
Jackhammer.
Jackhammer, yeah. How else are you gonna get the cement out?
I know, but
Now
if you,
hold still.
but this is not just.
I'm fine.
It's not
Is it
just
out?
women and their
real.
menstrual cycle that you worry about in the water. There are actual
I was
like
in a menstrual cycle in high school.
parasites that can like
Wait,
get in your body when you go into the ocean. Oh, did you
It's
guys
true.
hear about the flesh-eating disease recently?
Not recently, but I know it exists.
It was
There was-
this year in Long Island and warm waters.
That's what they're calling it.
I wonder if that's the same thing that happened at Disney's water adventure park when they had, because they did have the amoebas that were in the Seven Seas Lagoon, so they had to close that.
Yuck.
Ew.
But was it actually just a shark?
No, no. If there's anything that's going to get you at Disney World, it's going to be a gator.
Nah,
Yep.
it's gonna be
They're
Here we
it's
go.
gonna be
everywhere.
their prices. Anyway,
That's true.
myths on fear. Fear is a sign of weakness. Come
Maybe
You think so?
sometimes
You can use it as your strength if it's your emotional fear.
All right, Celine
Well,
Dion, tell me more.
No, but like,
Oh my
okay, so the idea that like fear is a sign of weakness is the idea that if you have fear that you can't have courage. But I believe, and I think a lot of people believe, I'm not on an island here, but like courage is having fear and still doing something. Courage isn't the lack of fear.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah.
So-
no, you got- no, I hear
Well,
that.
this was written by a robot, so.
Oh, that's true. Fear is irrational. It can be, I
It
guess.
can be. There's
Yeah,
healthy.
it
There's
can
healthy
be.
fear. There is healthy fear. Healthy fear is being afraid of standing at the edge of a cliff,
Yeah.
swimming with sharks.
Real danger, not the stuff that we create in our head. Fear can be completely eliminated. Again, I don't think that's realistic. I think you just
Well,
have to
I
move.
mean-
You have to embrace the fear and move forward.
I think it can be completely eliminated. I think you'd have to be very, 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 very highly evolved for that to happen.
How many varies was that?
I don't know. It was a lot. I lost count.
And is cement involved?
Yeah.
No, I don't. I don't.
Ow!
Think, I don't think it ever truly goes away.
Not that hole. Richard, stop.
Never give Richard the jackhammer, okay? Never
That's the
give
back.
Richard-
They don't make
stand
them
in the
that small
backyard.
anyway.
Stand in the backyard.
Well, if they were making cement tampons, I think they would have to create a jackhammer. That
I don't
was
know.
that
Some
small.
of these things, these things are invented by men, and they don't always
That's true.
think of the solutions
That's
or
true.
the
men
long-term
and-
effects of things.
Fear is always a negative emotion. No, I think we've covered that. Like having fear of a dangerous situation, having that awareness.
Well,
of
yes,
your,
then that's good. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
It's that sensor, that alarm inside you that says you should be aware. This is not
a safe
space.
space. Yeah.
Brave people don't experience fear. That's horseshit.
Yeah, that's bullshit. You
Or
think
shit.
Captain America was ever afraid all
Always.
the time?
Always. That's why he was so brave, because he had the fear and he still
Oh,
moved
I was
forward.
thinking of Carol Danvers. I guess I like.
Oh yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Did you say Captain America or
Yeah,
Captain Marvel?
no, I was thinking Captain Marvel.
America.
Yeah, Captain Marvel, I don't think has fear. She's too brave.
But Captain Marvel.
Well, Marvel is different. So I think we didn't cover all of fear.
Wait, are we finished?
Well, we don't have to be, but like we have gone an hour on it, and we did divert into.
Some stuff.
Yeah. I didn't want to go revisit all of that stuff.
So it was a lot today.
I guess we talked mostly about personal fear, and that Grady doesn't have any fear. No, disappointment. Disappointing people.
Yeah. I can't. It sounds selfish, but it's just so hard to see anybody hurting or see anybody's, I don't know.
But that's like
sad
empathy, right?
I guess so. But if you feel like you've done something that has made that put that person in that position, it's just so.
Are you afraid of like touching hot boiling water?
I am. I'll just say that. I know you were addressing Grady, but I am.
He's shaking his head.
I mean, if it happens, it would happen. I mean, I'm not going to keep my hand in it.
Right. Okay. But you're not going to put your hand in it.
Willingly, no.
No, because you are
living things that funny things a cat would say.
No, this is not the $25,000 pyramid.
Oh,
Cat would never say that.
Because I am.
Because you're
No, because I'm aware that it will burn me.
And you're
I'm not afraid of being burnt. I'm aware
you're
that
not afraid of being burned.
I mean, I don't know what the point is of being. I don't want to walk into it, but I'm not.
I was trying to think of a good burn about his clothes.
I wouldn't.
Like a different type of burn, like that burn.
What if somebody told you that they didn't like the way that you dressed?
Burn.
Fine.
No, but you really tried.
And
that day, like
then
you're going on a flight.
Then you need to get glasses.
You're going on a flight, and you're all excited because you got dressed up
for a flight.
Yeah, and then the really cool flight attendant is.
If I were dressing for other people and their approval, then yes, but I'm not.
But earlier
He's
you
foiling
did say
me.
you do. Well, he's a foiler. He's definitely a foiler.
I appreciate looking. I appreciate making an effort.
And you like when people on the streets in New York. Where
it's fun in New York City, yeah. When you're like, when you clock somebody's sneakers, they clock your sneakers. Like that's cool. Like I like those moments, and it's connection. Really, is all it is.
Are you afraid of creases in your sneakers?
No,
because most sneakerheads they don't want creases.
I used to be. I don't think I'm as precious anymore. I mean,
you're not afraid of getting your shoes dirty.
I am.
Okay.
What about the dark?
We got one.
What about the dark? Afraid of the dark?
Mentally or in the physical sense?
Physical sense.
No, I like to do a lot of things in the dark. In fact, I used to never turn the lights on in the bathroom as a kid in the dark.
How do you do things in the dark?
I can shave in the dark. I can do everything in the dark.
Do you think that you're like Daredevil and focus on the vibrations of everything around you, like you have superpowers in the dark, like you can see in the dark?
I think my senses function better in the dark, honestly.
But like
You
we're
do think you're a
talking, we're
superhero.
talking like
No, I don't.
You do
No,
think you're a
I do
superhero.
not. Do not. But I find that with the way my mind works, that's interesting. That if I do have the lights off, like when I shower, I don't have overhead light on. Takes your chi. Another episode.
Yes.
But I don't. I function much better in low lighting. Lighting is very distracting to me.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. The dark is. Yeah.
Do you like sunlight?
I used to lay out like it was my job.
Mm-hmm.
I love to get tan. And when COVID happened, another episode, but I can't stand when I got COVID in 2020, when it first came out, everybody wanted it.
Yeah, you're so like on top of the trend, weren't you?
Jeez, I mean, yeah. But yeah, and since then, being out in the sun is excruciating.
Really?
And I hate it because I love to be outside and be in the sun.
Did you maybe not get COVID and instead you were just bitten by a vampire? Is that possible?
No.
Oh my God, he's scratching his neck.
Yeah, and he seems to be having this white glow.
Did you just see that? He's been making breaded chicken all morning.
That's very, very strange.
I said it before.
That
though.
is a sign of a vampire.
I am so afraid of fear.
Elaborate. Like, I think I get it, but I don't think I could articulate it. So
If you're afraid of fear, then you don't
you have
fear.
the biggest fear of fear. No. We're
No.
saying the exact opposite, aren't we?
If you are afraid of fear,
You avoid fear at all costs.
yeah, so then you choose not to be afraid of anything.
No, I think it's the opposite. You're afraid of everything, so you withdraw because you don't want to experience it.
But
I'm thinking of working on the show right now when I don't know where things are, and am I scared? I'm not scared. I feel embarrassed.
Are you afraid of embarrassment? That somebody will think that you're no good, or
No, I'm not worried about people's judgment of my abilities, but I'm afraid of not. I'm afraid of not being able to hold the space for everyone and know, and not being, again, a crisis situation. If I can't help, I'm afraid when I can't help. That's when I get afraid, when I can't help.
when you feel helpless.
I don't know how to help. Yeah, I get afraid. And then I move into like, all right, how do I attack this from a different angle? But I do have fear around not being able to help people. So if someone was on the side of a building and I'm trying to pick them up, I would be so afraid that I'm going to drop them.
So why aren't you a firefighter?
Well, it's a good question. Oh, excuse me. Sorry.
you got much lower there.
You'd be a great firefighter.
That's cool. Thank you for that. I thought about it in another life. In another life, I would love to be to work in service like that.
Except you would probably sacrifice yourself for another person, which is what a firefighter does.
I would like to say that I would.
But I don't think if you were a firefighter today, we might not have you here.
We'd be looking at an empty chair.
Empty chairs at empty tables.
I was thinking
I
Back
know.
to the Future where he faded out of the picture.
Oh.
With the Mickey Mouse shirt on?
Yeah.
Back to Disney.
Back to Disney. I'm not disagreeing with your thing, but there's something. I can't think of the right word, but there feels like something impersonal about it.
I know.
Like
I can't explain it correctly.
There's a fear of not being able to do something for others, as opposed to, I guess, a selfish fear, or just like a selfish fear is the
No,
again,
but
the wrong
it
term,
does seem
but
that way. I understand.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess something that I'll just talk about the other thing that I thought of when you said that, and it goes back to a lot of the things that we talked about here. Is I am very good at embracing the unknown in my art, in theater, but the unknown in life, dealing with that, taking those leaps of faith, embracing my own no's, surprising myself every day is very, very difficult. And I spent a lot of time recently trying to translate the creative version of myself into my everyday version, because the idea of discovery happening in those moments of not knowing, which is something I say often, is a huge part of my creative life. And I will never settle on rules when it comes to creativity. And I will always be open to possibilities. And I can't figure out how to translate that into life. There's too much fear in life to take those leaps of faith. I don't know why, because it seems so stupid, because I know death isn't at the end of those things. Because I'm not doing stuff like skydiving or mountain climbing or running with the bulls, or something where my life would actually be in danger. It's just about discovery. And so I'm working on it, but like that's a huge part of my struggle in life, and it has to come from fear, a fear of humiliation.
Most everything comes from fear. Really.
I'm always humiliated. I'm always like, I don't understand why it stops me. There's always a bit of like, you look like a fool.
But I feel as I've gotten older, I've gotten less afraid of things like that. Yeah. Less afraid of the embarrassment. I have gone for it a little bit more. I'm not as afraid to take risks in my in my job. I'm not afraid to ask for things that I think I might not get. And part of that is like growing up is, learning how to face your fears, like learning how to ask for a raise. So scary to advocate for yourself. But, and I've grown more comfortable in theater trying to face my fears of looking stupid or looking silly.
Right.
But I've gotten validation.
I think after that wig that you wore, you should never have that.
I didn't even feel that bad about that wig. Everybody else felt
that's
terrible
it was
about
on
that
your
wig.
head. You didn't have to see it.
But but
Oh, sorry, I derailed us.
I do sometimes turn to other people's validation, whereas I don't trust my own dialogue, where I'm like, I don't like the way that I looked or sounded in this, and people will say, no, trust me, it looks good or it sounds good. Then I'll go with that instead of my own thing, because I know that I will always be my harshest critic. I will always be telling myself the narrative in my head is just different than what others perceive. And I'm going to go with what others perceive, because that's what that to me is a little bit more accurate than what I see through my own lens.
See,
in certain ways.
Yeah, because I have to have trust in those people.
Yep.
If it's just an everyday person, I'm like, nah, you don't know the difference. But something you brought up made me think of Grady too.
Oh, he's still here?
Oh, hey.
Jesus. Good Lord.
Your colors today are a little quieter than they usually are.
They're almost camouflagey, so you're blending in to the moss on my
Wearing
walls.
a space dye tie-dye hoodie.
Do you have a fear of asking for help?
Absolutely. I don't have a fear of it. I don't know.
Nailed it. It's fear. It's fear. It's
I'm
fear.
not afraid.
You said it. You said it. You said it.
But I said it in a knee-jerk way.
No, because it's on. We recorded it, so it makes it real.
I didn't see your knee jerk.
Yeah, there you go.
Afraid for asking for help.
Afraid of needing help? Of someone needing? Because there is. You say that there's not. Other people's perception don't affect you, but I think I think there is. And we're going to get to the bottom of it. We're going to heal you, Grady. We're going to heal you.
I have had to look after myself for so long.
Yeah.
That I don't worry about having to ask for help, because I'm not used to getting it. And I just would assume do it myself, or I guess I'm afraid if I don't do it myself, it won't get done.
Afraid.
That's fear of lack of control.
So maybe not letting other people help. If there's like there's a leak in the apartment. Let me help. No, I've got it. Everybody out of the room. I've got it. I don't want any help.
You need to be in control. That is a huge fear.
Yeah.
Lack of control is a huge fear.
Because my mind is so out of control oftentimes, and I don't know what it's going to do.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm afraid of my mind probably the most. My mind can just do some pretty incredible things, but it can also do some some harm. Yeah. And that goes back to, we talked about alexithymia, which is the condition of not being able to recognize what you're feeling. I probably feel a lot more fear than I realize I do, but I can't identify it often. As what it is.
Yeah.
So instead of racking my brain to try to figure out what the emotion is,
you just go into solution solving.
Go into solving problems. Or exactly. I go into solution mode.
Very male of you.
Whoa.
I'm just gonna solve all the problems. I've been
with
very sexist.
Cement.
Yes.
Maybe it is. My father's that way. My brother's that way. We're problem solvers. My grandfather. My father's side of the family, all problem solvers.
Because almost every night after rehearsal, you'll say to me, like, if you need anything, Chris and I are here for you. If you need anything, Chris, like, you're always willing to offer.
I guess
help to me. So it's like,
and I mean it.
No doubt.
I do.
No doubt. But I wonder if it's also paralleling the fact that you may need help, but we'll never ask for it. You're so aware of it.
Maybe
that help may be needed. So like,
I don't know how to ask for help. I don't think
yeah,
I was
that's
never.
a huge.
I was never taught how to ask for help. I was taught that here's the situation, figure it out. Can you help me with this? No, you've got it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Even if I didn't have it, I had to learn how to have it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I struggle a lot with asking for help, but I try to keep myself in a, and it's probably not healthy. I don't know.
It's not healthy. I'm just gonna say right now. I don't know what you're gonna say, but I'm gonna say it's not healthy.
We're all
I do
we're all
love
engaging
I
in
do love
unhealthy
the
habits.
phrase of neither
Yes.
neither the slogan the neither a borrower nor a lender be.
Oh yeah, I've seen that on billboards.
Do we know where it's from? I do.
It's Shakespeare.
Yes.
And
Anyone?
it's
Test.
from-
That's
test.
from a bank.
Test.
It's
Test,
test.
The tragedy of.
Mary
The
Prince
of
Windsor Hamlet.
Wales.
Oh my God!
Prince
how did I get involved in it?
Prince Caspian. Think Narnia. Where
Prince
are
of
we?
Cats.
How did I get into a podcast with you people?
The Prince of Cats.
It's not that.
You all want me to die in a shark attack, so I
Hamlet.
don't know why I'm here.
It's
no,
Hamlet?
I'm just saying it's Hamlet.
The Prince of Denmark.
I said Hamlet, which is now being produced at the National Theatre. The new production looks absolutely really pretty, so we'll see.
Polonius says it to Laertes.
And I think there's something.
Of course he
advice.
did. He said
He
so
says a
much.
lot of crap. Going back to that idea of not knowing how to ask for help. Certainly, that was a huge mistake that I made in my grieving. Is I never could ask for help. There was shame in it. I think there's still shame in it. I'm trying to get better. But I think parallel to you, Grady, it's like we don't ask for help. We don't ask for help. We don't ask for help. And then we ask for help. And then we don't get it.
So then I'm out.
And so
That's fine. I've been let down so many times in that area.
the sadness and the
the
disappointment.
trust, yeah, and then you just are let down. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even going to bother asking for it. But don't you dare ask him. Although I am willing, I like to help.
You like
other
to help people.
I really do.
Yeah, no, you will definitely help somebody. Probably because you know what it's like to not have that help readily available to you.
I think, speaking from my point of view, but
Yeah.
I'm going to include you in it. I think it's because we don't want to be those people who let somebody down. More than we want to help. We don't want someone to feel that thing that we felt. It's kind of like the clowns and sadness. It's like clowns are often clowns, not actual clowns, but
No.
like funny people are often trying to make you laugh so much more because they don't want you to feel the pain that they are going through or
If
suffering.
I couldn't make people laugh, I don't know what my life would look like. I don't even know if I would be here right now.
Yeah.
I feel like that is one of my strongest gifts, is to be able to make someone feel comfortable enough to laugh with themselves, not at themselves, but with themselves and
Yeah.
with me.
Mm-hmm.
And it means so much to me to see someone smile, not knowing that it came from me, but it came from them. You're just shining a light on something that's just everyday and silly. But it's just the most rewarding and wonderful thing to see someone laugh and smile. There's
Because
nothing better.
of something that you did.
Yeah, I do think there's a selfishness. For me, there's definitely a selfishness to it.
I
Well,
say that in a good
Like,
way
I want
because
that power.
I feel that too. I
I
feel
guess
that
I'm afraid to call it selfish because it does fill my well up to see someone, but I don't go away thinking, "Ooh, I did that. That's my reward." But the reward is
Whether you
the
use
energy.
the language or not, though,
It's still
it's
just
still the same.
Yeah.
It's still the same
I'm
transactional thing.
not coming at it from a selfish viewpoint of going, I need to make you smile so that you know that I'm so fucking fabulous.
No,
But-
but it is
in
something
doing that,
within you that you do that
and you
need
get
to
that
do
back, and then you say, you go to your favorite restaurant, and you go once a week, and you see your favorite hostess. You get to know them a little bit, and you make them laugh. They treat you well, and you treat them well, and it's a nice exchange. I think that exchange happens more with strangers
Yeah.
than it does with
Close friends.
yeah,
We dump a little bit more on our close friends.
or don't feel the need to
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Sometimes you know someone well enough to go, they're not looking for a show right now, and they're not looking for a laugh right now. I think when you see someone out in the real world, and just say this is just the customer service example, when you see somebody, they're back behind the counter helping you, no one's being nice to them, they're struggling. All I want to do is push up to the front of the counter and go, I can't even believe you're still here. What a fucking day, right? Look at this lady over here. Look at this guy over here. And they're like, oh my God, thank you. I feel you. I'm like, good. Don't worry. You're not alone. You're seen. Maybe just for 5 minutes, but you're seen for right now. So don't be afraid of your day.
Like, ultimately, there is this fear of letting other people feel the pain of our days sometimes. The fear of other people feeling our loneliness, the fear of other people feeling, in general, the things that we struggle with kind of motivates us. At least Grady and I
Yeah, it's a motivator for sure.
I mean, I think you too, Claire, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to speak for you for some
I
reason.
don't know what motivates me. I mean, right now I don't know.
Donuts. I mean, it's
I know I do like pastries.
Oh my God, you're you're broadening it out to other sweets.
Mm-hmm.
I won't tell the Donut Association of the world that you're. So, as we're wrapping up now, for sure.
I'm afraid of getting lost also.
Of actual getting lost,
Mhm.
or
I use a GPS
Not
even just to go
metaphor.
down the street.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
I don't read maps very well. They're very confusing for me. I get very afraid when I get lost. And I think it's probably because of being like just left in the mall where my mother would go, if you walk away, know where I am.
right.
I'm going.
You're never going to get home.
Did
She
you
used to
ever
make it-
like get lost in the mall? Did you ever leave
a
her?
couple of times, which caused great physical and mental anguish. Huge. Just meltdown of me just just uncontrollably sobbing on the floor in the mall. And it would happen. So I would stay very, very, very close to my mother.
So how did you get lost in those times? Did you actually just
Because
wander?
I would be playing with like G.I. Joe or Star Wars figures, under a rack or something. And she'd moved to a different area of the department store, and I didn't know where she was. And I'd immediately go into an absolute panic that.
Did you ever play in the racks?
I mean,
The circular racks were the best.
They were the best.
But
Because you could shut out the world.
Yes,
Growing
yes.
up, going to a clothing store,
Yeah.
a big one with my father. I mean, all I did was I played in racks
Yeah, you just go into the
all
rack.
the time.
But I was never like left. Like my mother made sure that she had me when I went.
My
when
mom
she
would
went to
make
the
a
next
joke that would
place.
say, "If anybody comes to get you, I'm gonna go get help." I was like, "Okay." Oh wait,
That's
what?
a joke, mother.
It's funny though.
Um,
Oh well.
yeah, no,
Nobody else laughed.
I don't want to throw my mother under the bus, but I think she was probably focused on. I don't remember getting lost, but back in the 70s, you could leave a kid here, there, didn't matter.
I think for me, just not being able to in the light of sight, the fear of like you are lost.
Yeah, yeah.
Even though she might be.
Yeah.
Well,
You're a child.
If I would
and
just
think
turn
that's-
around and assess.
Yeah.
So then I think maybe because of those things, I learned to quell those fears and go, no, you got to stop that. That's ridiculous. But I'm afraid if I make a wrong turn,
yeah.
I get so scared in the car.
It's the only time I get angry. It's
See,
like
I think it's fun.
When like the GPS messes up or I get lost, and I'm like,
Yeah, I get it's, and also driving around here, it's difficult at night. It's very hard. I'm not a great night driver with my eyes.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you barking, big dog.
I get a little. I make sure that I have everything mapped out, so I know exactly what's happening when I'm driving at night.
Yeah.
I'm very careful about which roads I'll take,
But there's definitely fear in that.
yeah, absolutely. I'm afraid of getting lost.
So what, as we wrap up, what fears are we each going to work on moving forward? Like, I think that's. I think we're all because I think we're always working on moving past fears. Is that unfair of me to ask
No.
you guys?
I'm surprised by the question, and I don't know. I never thought about working on certain fears.
Because you're always working on yourself.
I always
Yeah.
want to get better about asking for help and not being able to also tell someone you're hurting me. What you're doing is hurting me. I'm afraid of telling anyone that.
Yeah.
I'd rather let.
You're like afraid of being a nuisance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You know,
I am.
you're not a nuisance, Grady. 85% of the time. I'm
Snorting.
Cute.
I'm gonna, I'm always working on being afraid of shame. It's just my constant work, for sure. Like there's no reason to not humiliate myself. I do it all the time, and there's nothing to be shameful for in any way. So I'm gonna be braver. That's what I'm gonna do. That's the thing that I'm working on. Claire, you don't have to answer it.
Well, I'm
It's up
gonna
to you.
I'm gonna throw one out there. I'm afraid of change.
Okay.
Big changes. Little changes I'm okay with. Changing around my bedroom, I'm okay with that. But big changes, like inevitable ones, moving,
It's interesting.
changing my living situation, friendship changes, relationship changes, moving on from one to another, starting a new one, letting another energy in my life, things that upset the status quo of my comfort zone, things like that. That's big.
Yeah, and like it goes back to that idea too of like it's okay to be afraid of all of those things, but we don't want to let it paralyze us.
Right.
You know,
Mhm.
which I guess it doesn't matter what the fear is, what the details of the fear is. At the core, when I say at the end of this episode, what did we learn?
Yeah.
I think that's probably what it is. It's the idea of like it's okay to have fear, as long as it doesn't paralyze you from doing the things that you need to do.
And now we have listeners that are going to hold us accountable.
That's true. That's true. We got our first fan letter.
We did.
Yeah. And we'll cover her topic soon enough. And, reach out and write back to her. And listen to her podcast as well.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I think that was good. Like, we haven't met in a while. Now we got a good, juicy episode. We go off in classic Last Will podcast style. We go off the rails, as we normally do. We broke Grady down.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We made sure that he's not a robot.
Mm-hmm.
That
gosh.
he feels.
Oh my God.
And that he's not afraid of being eaten by a shark, even though that's probably
Yeah.
inevitable.
Yeah, it probably is.
Yeah, you got to go some way. All right, so nice to see you all.
Yeah.
Even though it's a Monday morning, it still feels like it feels like our Sunday.
Yeah, it feels like Monday for me.
Oh,
I've got
jeez.
the sense of urgency that I have to go to work tomorrow.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Because you have Mondays off
I have
anyway.
Mondays
so
off,
it's you don't have a day off today.
Sundays I'm usually like a little bit more comfortable.
It's your Saturday.
Yeah. So today's my Sunday.
Yeah. And we're talking the way the normies talk.
The normies.
Right. All right, Grady,
Okay.
take us out. It was a little wet. Excuse me.
The shark bit me.
That was just the air being released from the shark fight.
Yes.
Bye.
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 So what did we learn today? Well, I think we learned that Grady is afraid of fear. I don't know. Claire and I were pushing him pretty hard to find where his fears are. I think ultimately I go back to the idea of my creative self and my everyday self and trying to combine the two of them together. There are fears in life that are legitimate. You don't want to put yourself in a position that is dangerous to your physical being, like crossing the highway. That's a rational fear. But the idea of embracing your own nose and surprising yourself every day and challenging yourself to do things that you didn't think that you could do sets a good precedent for yourself for the rest of your life. I think that's the most important lesson out of all of it, is that precedent you set. When you prove to yourself that you could do things that you didn't think you could do,
the world can just open up for you. Thank you for listening to the Last Will podcast. If you like what you heard, rate, review, and subscribe. If you want to get in touch with us, you can reach us at The Last Will Podcast on Instagram or thelastwillpodcast.com. And remember, now's the time to get your tickets for A Christmas Story, directed by my friend Nova Hall at the Town Players of New Canaan. It's tpnc.org. That's where you can get tickets. It's going to be a fun production. And if you go to the website, I think you'll see that they're having Santa show up at some day. So it's great for the whole family. You can't ignore it. I know it's November, but you can't ignore it. December is around the corner, and it's going to be Christmas season. And as a teacher, I look so forward to the Christmas break. I know that may be confusing because during our episode, we talked about Indigenous People Day. But that's just how podcast time works. Sometimes we record things earlier and deliver them to you later. So thank you for listening. And until next time, onward, forward.